Welcome to the Kicking It with the Coaches podcast. I am your host, Coach K. My co-host, Coach Jones, back in the house today. Welcome back, Coach. Glad to have you back on the show today. Our show is brought to you today by Brain Jerk Entertainment, Kennedy Health and Wellness. Brain Jerk Entertainment is one of the leaders in our community, the leader in our community for entertainment companies. They do a lot of stuff through the community, guys. They got events for kids. They have events for adults. All types of stuff. They obviously make this platform possible for us to do this. So appreciate these guys big time. Kennedy Health and Wellness. My wife and I run a wellness platform. You can find everything there from wellness retail all the way to coaching services. Check us out. I also have to shout out to the several sponsors we have in our show today. Amaya's Fresh Mexican Grill, Little Brown Jug, Deb's Floral Designs, Lane's Pizzeria, IWR, Muggsy Sports Grill and Bar, Monroe Sports Center Bowling, and Nerdy Designs. So we always start the show. This is episode 3. We got a great guest on today. Appreciate you, Pat, for coming on. We're going to talk to Pat here in a minute, and he's going to share his story with us, and we got some questions for him, and maybe a little bit of debate later on and some different things. Our quote of today is, "Greatness is a lot of small things done really well." And that is a quote from Eric Thomas. I think a lot of people know E.T., listen to E.T., kind of resonate with him, right? And this is a guy that we have on today that was able to accomplish some things and has been able to accomplish some things, whether it was through his athletic career or off the field. And again, greatness is a lot of small things done really well. It's a lot of small decisions, moves, daily habits that you put together that builds up to something great. So that's why we kind of went with that quote today. So Pat, tell us about yourself a little bit, man, your journey, kind of your history around here, and your experience as a student athlete. Just share a little bit of your backstory.
No, 100%. So I grew up in Woodhaven, Michigan. My mom was a police officer. My dad worked at Ford. So kind of, was part of the community with my mom and stuff like that. Went to Carlson, right? Played baseball there, football, soccer. And then I had I got to go to Bowling Green, played baseball there for 4 years. Luckily it was, they took care of everything, got a scholarship, which was awesome.
Very nice.
Got to win a MAC tournament, which is awesome. Got a big ring,
right.
Unfortunate thing is though, is that ring just sits in my cabinet, for the most part. I look at it every once in a while. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you got something that not a lot of people have.
And then graduated from Bowling Green and kind of started my journey from there, and actually moved back to Monroe, lived in Perrysburg for a little bit, and moved back to Monroe, and now I live in Monroe. I've been here for 6 years now. So
okay. What are you doing these days?
So I'm actually a loan originator, so I write mortgages for homes. I work for Howard & Hanna Mortgage. My wife's actually a real estate agent in Monroe, so
get a hold of them if you're looking to sell or buy a home. You guys know where to go to.
100%. Gotcha, yeah. And so I started doing that. I actually got my degree in criminal justice, which is a total opposite change, but something different every day. It's kind of why I went into mortgages and stuff like that, and kind of set my own schedule and kind of be able to do anything I want for the most part.
Very nice. So you're pretty well-rounded, man. Well-rounded. You got quite the knowledge and skill set. So when it comes to that's more off the kind of field stuff. When it comes to baseball, do you still playing any faster, or do you coach, or are you involved in the game in any way?
Yeah, so it kind of is funny. So I was actually just talking to him that so I just got a new job with Jefferson baseball. So I'm a coach at 8th grade baseball there. I used to coach at Flat Rock, but then when I changed jobs, I worked at Rocket for a little bit. Didn't really have the time that we needed, so I stopped coaching 8th grade baseball and then started doing now I'm going to start doing with Jefferson.
Right on.
And then I also play vintage baseball. So we play baseball like it's 1864, like how the game was meant to be played as a gentleman's game.
Okay.
So we wear no gloves. There's no umpires, which is kind of awesome. So you talk. I mean, there is, but cool. It's a little bit different. Like you talk it out and kind of
So we're talking like when we went and played ball at the YMCA, you call your own foul type of deal, but it's got to be within reason.
Yeah, no. And so like if you get like a close play at first, right? You talk it out. Say, hey, what do you think? Oh, I tagged you out.
Okay.
And if you don't agree with it, then you can ask. They call him an arbiter and say, hey, what do you think? And then he will make the call. But for the most part, it's just a gentleman's game. Like you just talk it out, and you play with regular baseball. You play with a regular bat. So I mean, the ball's
right there with no glove.
Yeah, people break fingers and stuff like that. It really brings your hand strength out. So it's legit.
That is, that's quite the game. So, and I've seen the pictures, man, because I always do a little research on everybody before they're coming on, kind of get a little bit of an idea, so we have some questions to ask and whatnot. But I saw the pictures, the jerseys and that are
Yeah.
wild. I kind of wondered, I'm not going to lie. I was like, what in the world?
Yeah, it's kind of.
How does something like, is that a league or how do you get involved in
so,
something like that?
We're based out of Flat Rock. We're called the Flat Rock Bear Clan. We play at Hurock Park. So any given Saturday during the summer, if you go there,
you guys might be down
we
there.
might be down there playing.
Okay.
And I kind of got into it just I was playing softball, men's softball, and
Right.
you know, the unfortunate thing is I just didn't like where softball was going. Right, I was traveling every weekend. Didn't really want to keep doing that. I like the outdoors, I like doing stuff. So I decided to start doing this vintage baseball. And at first I thought, man, I'm going to hate this. It's going to be slow, like but I love it. It's the closest thing to college baseball I've gotten to. Okay. In front of the seeing people. Like when we at Greenfield Village, we play at the World Tournament and there's like,
I see they do a bunch of stuff there.
And there's like one time there was 2,000 to 3,000 people just sitting in the stands watching.
So you play in those tournaments there? Okay,
so,
man. I see those advertised and I see pictures of them. Yeah. They get good turnouts for those. It's 100%. Legit stuff.
Yeah, what position do you play?
So I play center field, which is surprising for how big I am, but I'm actually pretty fast. Okay. So I play center field. And that's what I played in college. I played in center field and right field in college, and first base a little bit when I had my shoulder surgery. So
okay, quite a bit there.
Yeah.
So going back to college, so when you went through the recruiting process, was BG kind of the school you chose out of the group, or was it the one school that kind of reached out, or how did you why BGSU?
So it's kind of funny about that. So I actually, if you looked at my stats in high school, I was a pitcher. That was my bread and butter. And so I was actually getting had Tigers looking at me, the Pirates looking at me at that time. But when my junior or going into my senior, I believe it was senior year, or going into my junior year of baseball, I went to a recruiting thing in North Carolina, Walford University. And I wasn't ready to pitch. And of course I was like, I got to show out and stuff like that. And I tried to throw too hard. Well, what happened is, and this is what I think it happened, because it kind of went down, not downhill, but changed after that. I tore my labrum in my shoulder. And so I don't know if you know about labrums, but it doesn't repair. It's like a cartilage.
It's tough.
And as a pitcher, that's like a black mark.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I went from throwing 88 to 89 in high school to barely being able to get to 82 just because of my labrum tear. So my senior year, I still loved pitching, still loved it. And BG was one of the only schools that offered where I could do dual. So I could pitch and play the field, kind of a mix thing.
And that was a big thing for you.
Big thing, because I love pitching still. So I kind of wanted to continue to do it. Right. Well, unfortunately, when I got to college, I pitched one inning. My ERA is 18. I scored 2 runs in the 9th inning. So so that was my pitching career in college.
Convince you that maybe
pitching convinced me. It says, hey, maybe pitching isn't the telltale thing. So then I played outfield for the rest of the time. But that was the reason why I picked Bowling Green. I had other schools, and it was mostly just I was going to be an outfielder or first baseman or whatever. But it was just that was the reason why I picked them. And of course, they were paying for 99% of my school.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So is anybody else close?
No. Well, Wayne State had I had a full ride to Wayne State. Michigan State offered a little bit, but it wasn't a full ride. Because in baseball, it's super hard to get a full ride. I don't know if you knew that or not. It's super hard. So in football, in college football, they give out 70 full rides, right, on a team. So it's a ton. Right. And in baseball, they give 11.7. So 11.7 full rides. Well, there's 30 guys on a team.
I was just going to ask how many on a team. So about 30. That makes sense.
Yeah. So you're talking, you got to try to split up 11.7 full rides for 30 guys.
You got to make the most of that.
Yeah.
And so 95% of my scholarship was due to how well I did in school.
Okay.
So the guy said, my coach said, he goes, hey, we love you. Bowling Green's going to pay all your college, and it's due to how well you did on your grades. You did so well in school. This is why.
So you were a scholar in school too.
Yeah, he said, he goes, nice. We would have gave you a really good scholarship for baseball, but since you did so well in school, we don't
better academic.
Yeah, and we don't have to use part of, so we can bring in other guys. So it was kind of,
that works out.
Yeah, you kind of think a lot about that.
That's awesome. That's a
so the importance of grades. Is what
Yeah,
you're telling me.
And
to the student athletes listening, grades still make a difference, and that's huge to talk about on here, because we have a lot of student athletes that listen to this show. As we've been getting feedback, a lot of kids have been telling me, so that especially in today, that's a big point to talk about. That's awesome, man. I actually love hearing that it was something other than just baseball that got you a platform, something to supplement it, right?
Yeah, it makes it easy for a kid.
Yep, absolutely. So when you talk about how this is a good way to lead into this question. So you talk about how you did well in school, right? So that means you're putting a lot of time into school, investing into your education, your homework, your knowledge, those different things. And then you were also playing baseball at the same time. So how a lot of kids these days will feel, how do I say this, I guess burnout or overdone. You see guys even in the league now taking load management days. For you, how did you manage athletic responsibilities with outside responsibilities? Like, how did you find balance in your life during those times?
It's kind of funny. Like, one of the things I know it's like not like talked a lot about now, but like I did multiple sports. So like, I was doing baseball, but like I also had like, at that time I had a lot of other hobbies. So,
right.
It doesn't, if you just do one thing, like just do baseball, right? Yeah. You might end up being really good at it, but in reality, what's going to happen is you're going to get to a certain point in your life and you're saying, well, I don't really like this anymore because I've been doing it for so many years. And this is the only thing I did. I missed out on a lot of things. So I say to kids, like, you still need to do other things, like do other sports and do other things on top of baseball, because you don't want baseball to become just your job, the only thing you do.
Right,
like
you identify with.
Yeah, so like, a lot of that stuff. And then like, my parents my parents supported me in baseball like all the time. Like I remember the time like my travel ball team was based out of Saline. So like I remember like during the week we were always going out to Saline, right? Training, different things. And then like I think too, like finding the right coaches. If you have a coach that just does the same thing every single day, it becomes monotonous. It's like your job, right? If your job was the same thing every single day, right? You just think, I don't really like doing this. And whereas if you have a coach that does different drills, different things that
keeps it fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And, bringing other things like that, I think that's the biggest thing.
Definitely. I agree with that. I think as a coach, you have to have routines and systems, but you have to have adaptabilities within those systems, right? You got to be able to say, like Monday we do, like, for example, I coach strength and conditioning, right? So Monday, for example, we call it Monster Monday. It's our upper body day, and we compete at the end, right? Monsters. We get after it at the end of the lift. So that's kind of our Monster Monday. But then again, while that's in the system, there's 100 different ways we can adjust and adapt them workouts to make them more fun. The competition's never the same. Every week it's a different, whether it's tug of war one week and then something else the next. There's one we're getting ready to do where the kids they're on the knees, and you remember them big circle buckets? Yeah. Them big ones, they got a volleyball and they got to get past them and dunk, right? And the other one's defending them. And the only thing is no eye gouging, but anything else to get that guy down or get the volleyball is fair game. Just little stuff, man, different stuff. So I think it's definitely important to keep things fun. As a coach, I think that's a big key right there for coaches that might be listening. Don't get on in that autopilot mode. Cause I think, like, from my experience, when kids and coaches start doing that, it's just the motions. And nobody ever gets better out of it. It's like, watching robots, man. Right. And just stay right there 100%.
Well, so the other thing too is, like you were saying, like you had that dunk thing, right? Which the reason why people compete in sports, they love the sport, but they want to compete. So like when you do things like that, where it's like competing, like you're going to get a lot more out of a kid because they want to compete. That's why they're doing the sport.
100%.
Whatnot.
To a degree, he's right. There's a certain level of competitive nature in every single person that play for the 99% most part that plays a sport. Now there's that one kid that literally just wants to be in the picture on team day, and like there's a girl that might like him because he's playing basketball or football or baseball, right? But for the most part, there's like, even that kid a lot of times will be like, well, I don't want to get my ass kicked.
Right.
Like if I'm going to come out here, I want to win at least, right?
I don't want to look like an idiot.
Right. So like even them guys end up being, And that's when we
You
go to
find
them.
out they can do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You sounded like you were going to ask him something, Coach.
Yeah. So I know you say you play multiple sports. Was there another sport that you was passionate about besides baseball, or was baseball always just kind of you knew that was kind of your ticket?
Great question.
So it's kind of funny. So like I never played football until my 7th grade football year, like 7th grade year. That was the first. But I can tell you by the end of it, I loved it. Like I probably could have went. I'm not saying probably, but there's a chance I could have played in college, right? If I really wanted to pursue it. But I loved it. I loved football. And I actually played football for 2 years or 3 years, took a year off. I played soccer, right? And then I got back in my junior year. I was the kicker for Carlson. Okay. And then they said, well, like, wow, you actually you're fast. So let's put you at wide receiver. You're tall, you're fast and whatnot. So I started wide receiver, and then I loved it after that. So
to piggyback off of that, did you, when it came to that and you said you might have had the ability to play, was it just at that point, is it just a baseball is already kind of rolling for me thing? Or was it I love baseball a little more than football?
I think a lot of it came down to is I was putting in a ton of work for baseball. Like I was working at it like a ton, you know,
a long time.
And like
out of curiosity, sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, man. When did you start playing baseball though?
I was probably like 5, maybe 4. Like this is my whole life. Yeah. And so I think that was part of it. And 2, like when you are trying to get recruited to play in college, like you have to kind of focus on that. Like you are playing these other sports, but you're also focusing on the sport you think you're going to go to college 100%. With. And so I never focused on college or football stuff. Like it was never in my mind, like, oh, I could play college football. I never thought of that. So when I played football and I was pretty good at it, but it was more baseball. Like baseball, I focused. I said, this is what I'm gonna play in college. I wanted to play in the pros. Like that was my dream. You know what I mean? That was, and it kind of came down to it's all I knew. Like I know was baseball. So it kind of has made it like that way.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes complete sense. So what you said, we kind of talked about it out here, but I think it's important for people to hear your story and kind of hear what was your best moment in baseball? Like was it winning the, you talked about winning the MAC tournament. What's the best moment you have ever had in baseball? Like that moment right there was like, man.
Yeah. I mean, probably the MAC tournament. I mean, that was, don't get me wrong. It was sweet. Like it was really sweet. And like playing in we got to play in Louisville after that for the, and that was awesome. I mean, the amount of people, a night game in Louisville, like if you've never seen one, it's legit. Yeah. People are standing on houses. I mean, it's awesome. Pretty cool. But I mean, I would say like it's kind of, and I feel like a lot of people say this, but it wasn't. I don't know if there was like one moment that stuck out, but like I think it was a moment that like when you play college sports, like the people that you play baseball with are like your family. So it was like just spending time with them and seeing them, like
the memories.
Yeah, because like
with those guys,
like
great answer.
Yeah, like in high school, like you play baseball or you play a sport, right? You see those guys for 2 hours a day, and you see them during school every once in a while. But in reality, in college, like you're there in the morning working out with them. You spend a little bit of time during the day going to classes. And then after that, you're going to practice. And then after practice, you're eating dinner with them. So they become your family. So I think a lot of that is more of and that's like missing moments. Like that's the moments I miss, like with those kids.
Their greatest moments came off the field.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what, like, I feel like a lot of people, when they go to play a sport in college, like they just go in to play a sport, but like, it's mostly the experience too, that you're seeing. So like that, definitely. I feel like those are the moments that, I miss. Like if you were saying, hey, you missed a moment or, something that those are the things I miss, with everything.
That's a great answer.
Question too. So when was it, or what moment where you were like, okay, I can actually play college baseball? Like, was it during a game?
Great question.
Did a coach come talk to you?
I would say, I mean,
have one?
I don't really have a moment. I mean, it sounds cocky, but I mean, I knew ninth grade. Like when I was like the number 2 on Carlson's baseball team, right, pitching, right, and then I pitched in some major games. I knew I had what it took, right. Yeah. And so like I feel like that's when it started. But like even then, like even in middle school and stuff like that, like playing all over the place,
you just knew.
You know,
guys know. Yeah, guys know.
Yeah, and
even young, maybe not, even 7th and 8th grade, you start to get an idea of I'm a little bit ahead of some of these other kids.
Exactly, like kids are the most observant individuals in the world, and they can observe themselves, and they know that they're better than most of their peers. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess that's kind of when you start noticing it, is that kind of thing.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. So with that being said, and you might have already, you might have tapped on this, maybe it's situation by situation, but we got a lot. Like one of the reasons I came home to coach here in Monroe was I wanted to see what we could do to help kids get recruited out of here. I feel like I watched several kids get recruited when I was at Romulus. And I've seen kids from downriver and even Carlson, guys that play football, because I'm familiar with local football to a pretty good degree. And like, I think it could be better here. Right. So with that being said, what should our student athletes prioritize while looking for the next step? So let's say there is that dude.
Yeah.
Right. I know I'm that dude. I'm a sophomore, junior. I'm starting to, take the tests and do all these different things. The school is sending me letters. What do you think are some things or a couple things maybe that they should prioritize more than the rest?
Well, so like one of the things, right, is like at least with baseball wise, right, is putting yourself out there. Cause like a lot of kids, they think that they're just gonna play, down the street at the stadium, and all these college coaches are gonna come out there. No, they don't have the budgets like that. What you need to do is you need to do like in like football, like the combines and like different things where they bring where you have a handful of coaches at that. Those are the best things. Like unfortunately, like you might get a coach every once in a while at some of these high schools, but for the most part they're going to see you at those things.
Right. Do we have those in our area?
So I did one. That's how I actually got picked up from Bowling Green. Is I did one in Detroit. This was like years ago, and this was 2009, I think it was 2008, and I think it was called like Detroit Ice or something like that.
Okay.
And so like it was like and these colleges, a lot of colleges have them. Like when I went to Walford and went down there was like 8 or 9 different coaches down there. There's different things now. It's definitely changed a lot. Like grown. Perfect Game, it's grown a lot more. Like there's Perfect Game,
film and stuff.
Film.
See, I know it's big with football, right? There's Lawrence Tech is just did something. Might be today actually that they're doing something where they've got so many football coaches from Central or here. So I know it's big in football and has grown. So I was just curious about the baseball scene, just because I am kind of curious about, and I have a few questions later on where we're actually going to cover some different things. But I feel like baseball, we could do more. I feel like as far as like how we promote baseball at the high school and college level, getting people to stadiums. I listen to a lot, man, and study a lot, and I'm into business and different things. And, one of the things that amazed me was like a lot of college baseball teams are not profitable, right?
No,
like,
they're not.
And it's crazy to me because I'm like, that's good baseball at some of them schools, and it's a lot of fun. And it's kind of like it's one of them sports where I feel like, man, there's some things we could do, right? And that's why I like touching on stuff like that, because that to me is like, that's a big one, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Get the kids the recognition, get the people out there filming, like you said, get all the hype videos, or just get somebody, write some numbers and some, hey man, he can throw this, and he was doing this, and things like that.
Create a buzz.
Yeah, right. And I think that's one of the things too, like high school coaches can do is like, and this is what we did in college. We did scout days, right? Like a scout day where all these pro teams came out, right? And you went through some things. Like, what does it hurt to do that at a high school where you get some of these colleges that come,
right? And
they have lower level scout, like guys that just kind of travel around. And if you did something like, say you did a Monroe County thing, right? You brought all the Monroe County kids into one stadium and you did a combine, or not a combine, but like a scout thing. Guess what? You have all these Monroe County kids and you have scouts coming in, like it just stuff like that. Like,
that'll trickle into other sports as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
time.
I mean, people think that, these colleges doing these things, that they're the only ones that can do it. Well, guess what? These scouts, in high school, you can do the same thing, pro days, stuff like that. Like where you getting, cause like I said, if coaches, like scouts knew, like college coaches knew, like there's going to be a big group of kids, it makes their job a lot easier. You know what I mean? Rather than going
100%.
to 9 different stadiums and stuff like that.
Trying to track every single person down. They don't, plus in today's world, man, with stuff we talked about off camera, but we talked about the social media, and coaches have a lot of responsibility now. And I'm not like, I'm not complaining, right? I'm just saying, like, we do, whether it's a high school basketball, football, whether it's a baseball coach, like, we have a lot. And it's the stuff that Coach Bates and I even talked about. Shout out to Coach Bates, but we talked about it last week, even just and we talked about it out here. We shared, all three of us just shared, I don't know how many stories about situations where it's so much more than ball. I always say it, but it's way more than a sport, man, where we're doing like double duty as a coach, right? And and as you know, we're trying to fix our world and get things kind of back on a better level. And after COVID and that sort of thing, you know, that's an important role for us. You know what I mean? To be there. It's a harder role now, but it's a more important one for sure. So, all right. So, we actually, honestly, man, I saved this for later, but let's jump into this since we're on this topic. This was actually a question I had. What can we do to make college baseball more profitable, marketable, and more popular? So, like, what can we do to drive people in the seats? What's a few things, you know, other than the combine to get kids noticed, but how can we make this sport bigger?
So, I mean, it's kind of a hard thing because the people that love baseball are going to go to baseball no matter what. Yeah. Like, it's just, it's an unfortunate thing. Like, I'm not going to, I played baseball for 18 years. Right. And I watch baseball and sometimes I think it's boring. Right. It's just, it's an unfortunate thing. But like, I think the problem is that we're trying to change things to suit people that don't like baseball, and they probably never will like baseball.
Okay. To make it more exciting.
To make it more exciting. Like, you know, I was just talking to someone about this, and I'm sure you've seen it, like they changed the pitch clock and stuff like that.
So my next question was baseball rule changes and your thoughts. So we'll just cover it all.
We'll cover it all right now. So, but if you go to but it's also a region thing. Like I said, like you go to a Louisville game on a Friday night or Saturday night, those stands are packed. Right. We played at Georgia Tech and it was a weekend series, right? We're a Bowling Green. Like, you played Georgia Tech? Yeah, we played Georgia Tech. And so Impressive. Like Georgia Tech was like, there's probably people in there saying Bowling Green, is that the team from Kentucky? You know what I mean? Like, so, but like when we played, the stands were packed. So it's a region thing, I think, a lot of it. Because I mean, the other thing is too, like, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be sitting out at a baseball game in Bowling Green in the middle of March right now. Like, it's probably like I played we played at Northern Illinois in March, and it was like 29 degrees, blue skies, but we, you know, stuff like that. So you know,
talk about spring baseball, right there, man.
And so I think the problem is I think right now there's too many people trying to change the game to make it suit people that may never like the game, kind of thing. So, you know, like, you know, you're talking about the rule changes, like the pitch clock and the shift.
You're not a fan.
The shift I agree with, because I think the shift kind of the shift takes entertainment out of baseball. And I don't think the shift, because like I said, I play vintage baseball, right? I don't think they had a shift in 1864. I really don't. I don't think that was such a thing.
Right.
Now the pitch clock thing, I don't agree with.
You don't like the pitch clock?
No, because I don't think it actually helps. Because the problem is when they do the pitch clock, right, you're rushing a pitcher, right, to pitch, right, and say he does go over the pitch clock. Well, guess what? Now that you stop the game, call the ball, and restarted everything, it's taking more time anyways. So I don't think it's gonna actually.
Does this mess with the pitchers too a little bit?
I don't know if it messes with the pitchers so much.
Feeling flustered, maybe, or no?
Maybe, but. It might, but I mean, you gotta understand they're professional athletes. So I mean, they kind of, but you know, I don't agree with. I really don't. And it's kind of one of those things. I feel like it's not a good change in my opinion.
Okay.
I think when they did, so a couple years ago they did the juiced balls, they call them, and what they did is they wound the ball a little bit tighter. You had a lot more home runs.
Yeah.
And I think that was a good change because it did make a little bit more excitement. I think stuff like that, to where you're getting more
the score per game,
increasing the score per game, or increasing the excitement, right? I mean, how exciting would it be if you put them out there with no gloves? I mean, that would be legit, right?
Fans will love it though.
People, So like, is it because, like, I mean, realistically, like the glove, these guys are so good now with the glove. I mean, if they hit a fly ball, you know they're going to catch it, right? Whereas, like, if they went out there with no gloves, and this guy might not catch it. But like I said, the changing the rule thing, like I don't know. I just don't.
So out of curiosity, because I'm a big football guy. He's obviously a big basketball guy, and then he's done a little in football, and I've done some in basketball. But that's kind of our. So we bring you on to pick your brain apart and learn, about baseball and that sort of thing. So what is their plan with all? Like, is it to, like, what are the rule changes for? Because I'm a guy who reads ESPN headline and goes, oh, they made 8 baseball rule changes, and I read them and go, okay, I'll watch them and see how it works. I don't know. So what's the point?
The point is to speed up the game. I mean, because a normal baseball game, if you go to it, you're talking 3 hours, 2 hours.
So is this a fan experience?
Yeah,
thing?
They're trying to get a fan experience. I mean, since football, right? Like realistically, like in a full football game, right? There's only 11 minutes of excitement. If you actually like, it's kind of crazy. Like if you did it to wherever they pretty much just hike the ball and whatnot. There's only like 11 minutes, but like it's exciting 11 minutes. Whereas in baseball, like it's 3 hours and like it's 3 hours
still
of
11 minutes of excitement.
Yeah, exactly. So like you might have a home run, or the game might end 2-0, right? So there's only like it's a lot, so you got stuff like that is just
or it's extra innings, 0.
But people don't like. There's not like a fanhood for like the pitcher duels type of deal. Not for the most part. People want to see hits and home runs.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like last year we watched. So the vintage community is kind of interesting. There's a group of guys that do like a Zoom on Tuesday nights, right? Okay. So last year during the World Series, there was a combined no-hitter thrown, right? Mm-hmm. Which that's exciting, right? But it was the most boring game in the world. You know what I mean? Like it was boring. Like this guy's like they're drowning out, like hitting pop-ups, like striking people out. Right. Like it's awesome, right? It's great to watch a no-hitter, but like it's kind of boring.
Exciting accomplishment. Yeah, but not the most pleasing to watch.
But like as a baseball person, you like me, like I'm like, I was like, wow, this is cool. Like I wouldn't say like I was excited, but I'm like, this is like I even said, this might be the only time I ever watched this. You know what I mean? Because like the last one was like I think in like 1986. And I wasn't even born then. So like, stuff like that, like that's
pretty sweet history.
Yeah.
It's more like the excitement of watching the history unfolding in front of you.
Yeah.
And then realizing like, and nobody got a hit.
You get the magnitude of
what happened.
What happened in the World Series. In the World Series. Like I said, it's the 2 best teams in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And neither team get a hit.
And
score. I mean, they probably had hits.
That's pretty crazy.
You know what I mean?
And the other thing is too with that is like, the normal person that doesn't really watch baseball, like I feel like they don't understand that. They look at it and say like, this other team must just suck. Like
they can't hit.
Yeah, they can't hit. You know what I mean? So I think that might be, but yeah, like the new rule change, they're trying to speed the game up. They're trying to make it so where you can go to the ballpark on a Saturday afternoon and watch the game and be done in 2 hours.
I was gonna say get out and
get out and whatnot.
Hours.
But I mean, it's just I don't know if that's I don't know if
really
that's
possible.
Like realistically,
to get true baseball.
Like if realistically, if they wanted to make a rule change where they should just put a time clock on it, say, all right, you got 2 hours to play a game.
Yeah,
whatever inning you get to after 2 hours, there you go.
Yeah, that's
I'm trying to speed the game up.
Yeah.
I never heard that idea before.
See, and I
you might be on to something.
Yeah, we can start a league.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. No, I said we could start a league. I said no, it's not a league, but that would be like, it'd be interesting.
Right.
I like that.
That's crazy to me because I know for football, I know like they're trying to cut the game time down, right? So the TV broadcast and the games aren't as long when you're at the stadium. I thought like people. To me, it's always been weird, this whole like baseball and football. I thought people enjoyed it. Like I thought people, to me, like, okay, so I guess to a degree, I get it. Guys are, out in the tailgate, drinking for six hours and eating, bratwurst and burgers. And then you get in the stadium and you feel a little weird after 3 hours. You're like, man, so I kind of get that, same with baseball. You go, you're eating a bag of peanuts, you're drinking, tall beers, like everybody likes to drink
$10 a piece,
$10 a piece at the ball game. Yeah. But everybody likes, peanuts and beer when they go to the ball game. And I just thought, like, to me, it was always, I thought people really enjoyed, like, I guess because I don't get a chance to go so often that it's like a whole day for me, man. Yeah. When I'm like, dude, I'll spend the whole day here because I work. I don't know. Maybe it's because we stay
TV
busy.
Ratings.
TV ratings.
People change the channel.
Yeah.
After so long.
Well,
especially, I think baseball is probably even worse than football, 100%. To be honest.
Even in football sometimes, or even March Madness take like if it's a blowout game, they'll switch the
Over.
broadcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait, I don't care what the score is. I
Yeah,
want to see,
I want to see the end of it.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah, they will too.
and
But
I think
it's ratings got a lot to do with it. Too,
Yeah. And I think people are busier nowadays too.
Yeah,
I think
that's
people
They're not sitting in front of a TV
That's
for 3
real.
hours.
Yeah, people have their time, right? Because I mean, we all know it used to be on Sunday. You never did anything, right? It was like your day to
Nobody-
relax. Like
nobody-
no
God's day and
business
day
were
to
open,
relax.
nothing.
Yep.
Now you go to Lowe's on a Sunday during a nice day. There's like
It's
1,000 people in
It's
there,
packed.
like getting their
It's
work
packed.
on, trying to do,
Yeah.
Yep.
And so
Trying
like,
to catch up on something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
so I think that's the other thing is people they're trying to get time because, like you said, people change the channel. People get up and leave. People, and they want to keep people in those stands because when people are in those stands, like you said, they're drinking beer, they're paying, drinking
Yeah.
sodas, eating, they're paying money. But if they get up and leave and say, this
I
game
don't know if
sucks,
they're
like,
leaving the games.
I
bet
don't
it's
know.
more TV ratings
Yeah.
related
You know,
probably is.
by speeding the game up.
I think the TV for
At-
sure.
'cause
For
at the game, it don't even feel like.
I
that.
think for
No.
baseball, it would be the TV, but I think for football, it's both because I think there is a lot of people who like I've been to a lot of Michigan games and Eastern and a bunch of our local, and I know a lot of people will say at halftime, man, I'm done.
yeah, they're
I'm out. I
Is it
don't
good-
want to be here no more.
the game.
A
or the
lot of it,
seats?
like I said, a lot of it is some of it is different stadium. So and it's crazy to me, but one of the things I've heard is like people don't like to not have cell phone use in the stadium, right? So a lot of college football stadiums, for example, have extremely bad
Yeah,
cell phone
service.
reception, and you can't get on Facebook and scroll. So now you can't bring your wife necessarily. What if she don't want to sit through a 3-hour football game? You can't bring your daughter or your son if
Yeah.
he's young, or like there's certain
'cause they
situations
wanna
right, where
leave.
they're not. Where if they had, maybe like I hate to say it like that, but if they had a Wi-Fi, maybe they're more
Yeah.
prone to sit
Yeah.
through the whole game. But now you end up going to the tailgate because
Yeah.
tailgate got, I got my internet
Got
out
your
here at the
service.
tailgate. I got food, we got drinks, whatever.
socializing
And you
too.
go home
You
and-
know?
Yep, socializing. Baseball, I don't know. Baseball seems like it would be a little more for TV just because, like baseball, I don't know, because some of the baseball areas too, bro. Like if you go to a Tigers game, like you could leave a Tigers game in the 3rd inning, 4th inning if you're bored and jump right over to a casino,
Yeah.
right? Or a great restaurant that's
probably
somewhere
most
in the area,
downtowns,
or
though.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's what I
You know
feel
what I
like.
mean?
Like if you go to a Braves game, right? There's probably some kind of
Yeah.
great restaurants or hotel or something
Anything.
Well,
in the area, or not hotel, but
and
I mean, just all
Yeah,
types of that
something
stuff
to do. Yeah. And
Right.
the other thing is too, baseball, like you also get oversaturated with it. Like, let's be real, you're playing 165 games,
That's,
right? So every
that's
night you
huge.
can turn on the TV and watch a baseball game,
huge.
right? And so you get oversaturated with that too. Like,
That's
whereas
real.
football, like you're watching it Sunday night, and like I even feel like sometimes, like when the NFL started putting games on like Thursday
Thursdays,
nights
yeah.
and Tuesday
It
nights, and
started
Wednesday,
saturating.
yeah, you almost thought like, man, I really don't want to
Yeah.
watch the game tonight.
I
Like,
just watch
yeah,
Monday night.
yeah, I just watched
And
Monday night.
a
Now I'm
doubleheader.
watching Wednesday.
And they were
Yeah.
terrible on Thursday night
Oh, they were
football.
terrible.
Amazon,
Thursday night
stop
wasn't
doing
good.
that if you're listening. I know
Yeah.
you're not, but if you do,
So you're with
stop.
shorting the MLB season?
I think, I don't know. Like,
What if they left the game what if they left the rules the same but shortened the season?
I think that would be the best because I mean,
How many games you thinking? 120?
yeah, no, I would say probably even like maybe like 100. I think 100 would be like legit. Like I think because the thing is like it gets to a point where like it should never be this way where you are only like a quarter of the way or a third of the way season or done with the season and your team's already out. Like that there should be no reason that should be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Right,
so
right.
like I
Yeah,
think
you played 75% of
Yeah.
the season knowing you weren't going to make the
yeah, and so and I
that's
think
tough, bro.
yeah, and I think yeah. And I think
tough to keep guys
oh
motivated.
yeah, 100%. And I think if you shorten the season too, I think you would get players that maybe sit out more, not sitting out as much because then every game is more
Okay.
important.
Right.
And it might be more competitive because teams with 100 games, you can go on a nice little run
Yeah.
and do well for yourself. But if you go on a run early in baseball, like between game 50 and 70,
Yeah.
and you still got
Right.
120 more games.
Well, and I think too in like baseball, like the one thing I can say about baseball is the best team doesn't always win.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like you might, like you said, like you go on a run at the beginning of the
Yeah.
season and that team might be the best team at the end still, but a lot of times they don't win.
They
You
peaked
know,
already.
they
Yeah.
peaked already
Yeah.
and whatnot. Whereas I feel like if you look at like football or the NFL, you look at basketball, you look at
How well are you playing going into the playoffs?
Yeah,
regardless of what your seed or your record.
Yeah,
is.
And I think
it's who's hot.
Yeah, and
a lot of times.
Well, and then I think like in NFL and that stuff, like you kind of know at the beginning of the season, like halfway, like who probably has a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Usually they make it. Like
Like
you know, like you look at it, you're like, you're like
injuries.
Kansas City, like they're probably gonna make the Super Bowl.
We know that now.
Yeah.
We know they're about to be legit now.
Yeah, but whereas like in baseball, like you might watch the beginning of the season, like, oh, this team looks good. But then at the end of the season, you're like, what happened to him? You know what I mean?
There's more parity, I think,
for sure
in baseball. Like I know the Yankees and there's those household teams, but like, man, there's been some teams. There was a couple years, obviously the A's story. Everybody knows Moneyball and the A's story. But there was those couple years where the Royals were on a run. There was years I remember where Tampa Bay was on a run with the lowest. Cleveland. It's way more parity. In the NFL, it seems to be like
the same team.
The same teams go on a huge run, and then you might flip a team or two, but then that team goes on a huge, they're always around.
Same coaches?
Do we think it is? Is that what you're saying?
In the NFL?
It could be. I mean,
coaches go to different teams.
Yeah.
Right. You talk about guys like Belichick's always around, right?
Yeah.
That guy's always around. Andy Reid, the Eagles were always there, right? Andy Reid goes to the Chiefs. Now the Chiefs are always there. That's big. The Titans with Mike Vrabel are always there. No, that's definitely that.
Well,
they're shopping your boy down there.
Who?
Derrick Henry.
Oh, Henry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
they're shopping them.
They falling apart, man.
Hey, as they say, don't pay a running back. That's you don't ever pay a running back.
This might be unpopular, but it might spark some conversation. But man, I was telling them they should have went and got Lamar and just said we're just going to run the ball.
Not?
We're just going to run the ball with Lamar and D. Henry every play. We're going to run option. We're going to run draw. We're going to run ISO.
Yeah, but
Run everything.
Well, but the other thing is too, like a lot of like if you look at like the 49ers, like not Strahan, I almost said Strahan, but like he coaches to his talent, right? Like he knows like his court, like look how successful they were with like 3 different quarterbacks. It's because he knew how to change
get the most out of each quarterback.
And so like
100%.
you like if you don't have a coach like that, like you put Lamar somewhere where that coach, I mean, just look at like Fields, right? Fields is an offense that does not peak. There's not his talent level. Like, so
not at all. 100% agree with that. To flip the script, so I'm gonna ask you one here. I put Coach Bates on the spot last week with a question that kind of made him kind of think real deep. What's the best baseball game you have ever watched, any level? Best baseball game that you've ever watched. It could be in person. It could be high school, college. Give us that experience.
Even what you were part of.
Best, it could be best game you have ever seen in baseball.
Or best game I've ever seen in baseball. So I did go to the All-Star game when it was in Detroit. That was pretty. Okay. That was legit to watch. But I wouldn't say that was the best. That is definitely a difficult question. I mean,
great experience right there.
Yeah, like we played. I mean, I would say the best game I ever like been a part of, at least, was probably like either Louisville or Georgia Tech.
Okay.
Those games, like it was just packed. Like it was just the atmosphere was awesome. Like it was,
Are those baseball towns? Those schools. I know. Well, I've heard Louisville's pretty. I do know.
Well, Georgia Tech has like one of the best stadiums in the United States. Like their field was beautiful.
Shout out to Georgia Tech baseball for holding it down.
But like, it's beautiful. It's literally like it's like putting green. Like it's beautiful. But like, I would say that's probably like the best games. I mean, when we played Ball State in the MAC tournament, of course, that's awesome, right?
Right.
Because like it was it was one of those games. It was kind of close, and then like it kind of it opened up, right? We ended up scoring 7 on them, so that was like an awesome game. And then I would say actually, what's funny about that year is we almost didn't make the tournament. We actually, on the last game of the year, we were playing Buffalo and we had to win. We didn't win that game.
Okay. So you said that was the MAC tournament?
Yeah.
So what is the qualify? You have to win so many games.
You have to be in the top 8.
So
you have to be in the top 8 of,
so that's
4 of each division.
All right.
So literally, like, we were down to the wire last game of the year and we had to beat Buffalo. And I mean, I hit a ball down the third baseline, landed on the chalk, rolled into the bullpen of the other team, right? And we scored. We need to score 2 runs, and we scored 2 runs, and that's how we won the game.
To win the game.
So I would say that was at least the best game I was part of. Yeah,
right.
I mean,
that's big.
Yeah, the MAC tournament I had the same thing, different though. They call it a slash bunt. So what it is you hold the bunt like you're gonna bunt, and then you pull back, and it's a thinking play. So it's one of those things like you make that decision if you're gonna pull back and hit it in real time, like whatnot. So we were tough to do. So we're because what happens is, and what you look for is the shortstop and second baseman, they split. Because what they're going to do is they're going to crash first base and third base in. Okay. Right. And they split it. So if you see that, that's like the perfect time, because when you do a slash, it's just you're hitting the ball up the middle. Well,
baseball guys, peep that game. That's free game.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's a great, and so like that, I did that, and that put us up, and then after that we scored like 6 runs.
That's the floodgates.
Yeah, so I was
it right there.
Yeah, so I think those 2 games were probably the best ones, and then watching, I wouldn't even have one in my mind that I think watched.
Got you. What so what's next for you? Do you still coach today?
Yeah, so I like I said, I just started. I'm coaching 8th grade baseball at Jefferson.
Okay. And this is your first season there then?
Yeah, with Jefferson, yeah. Okay. And I kind of I like coaching, but I want to eventually get into where I'm doing private lessons. Just because I like working kids one-on-one, right? 'Cause I think there's more detail, and I mean, it's bad to say, but you get kids that want to be there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Kids that want to focus on their game, and you could focus on their strengths one-on-one, rather than whereas a team, like you might know this kid has this flaw, this kid has this flaw, and it's kind of hard to work on all. It's hard to work on all of them. So I think that's kind of what I want to do eventually. But until then, so I'm coaching 8th grade baseball at Jefferson.
Okay. When does just out of curiosity, you guys got to be getting close, even though, I mean, just funny story. I got a picture that was sent to me. Cause I'm really close to the coaches at Mason. I try to do whatever I can to like, not just help the football team, but be there for them. And as much as I can. And there was a picture posted on Facebook and sent and said, baseball starts Monday, spring in Michigan, and our whole field at Mason is covered in snow. And I'm like, that's crazy how our weather is it's crazy here. But so when does your season start?
So our first game, I think, is April 13th, I think.
Okay. So you got
so I got a little bit.
Yeah. You got about a month then.
Yeah. But like spring baseball in Michigan is like terrible. Like the first couple of weeks, like you don't know what you're gonna get. Like you might get snow, you might get rain, like you might get amazing day. Yeah, and so it kind of just depends. Like but so we start April 13th. So
how do you work with kids if the field's in
usually go in the gym? Yeah. Okay. So and it's hard to have gym because it's hard to do in the gym because you're playing baseball. Like we're playing like
I was gonna say how do you
can't hit a towering line drive or
certainly practicing home run swings.
No, exactly. And so it's definitely not the easiest thing, and you don't get the true bounce. Like we don't play on a flat surface that doesn't have any rocks or anything like that. Yeah. So it's definitely hard. So it is definitely challenging to like set up a practice for the gym.
Do that. Yeah.
So like that's difficult, but pretty much what you have to do.
We run into that when it's in the summer, when you're out at football practice, when the field's too hot, when the temperatures are too hot outside. We run into that, man. It's the same thing. It's terrible. I'm like, I'm half the time I'm like, let's just like talk to the kids about grades and what's going on in life and catch up with them. I don't even know if we like practicing or let's just do some like speed and agility. Yeah. Because like practicing football in this gym is the spacing is off. Like you said, the ground is not, it's all different, right?
100%.
We definitely go through it too. Last question, my man. I'm putting you on one more spot.
All right.
You're a big baseball guy. We're getting ready to go into the Major League Baseball season. Who and I'm just gonna throw you on the spot. This is more of a ESPN question, but we'll ask it anyways. Who wins the World Series this year? And we want Pats. I don't know if you're a Tigers fan, but we want the We want the thought. We don't want the fan answer. We want the Pat, baseball answer.
Well, I mean, like I talked about before, it's hard to pick one right now. I like the Padres a lot. One, I like this sounds bad, but I like their colors. But I think they have a lot of young talent. But it's kind of crazy. Like I said, even though I played baseball for 18 years, I don't follow it as much as you would think. You would think I would be like.
It's the same with men basketball. Yeah, it's the same.
It's like
honestly, I follow college sports because some kids get recruited in different things.
Yeah.
But I don't follow the NFL at all, man.
No,
hardly at all.
And so it's kind of hard to say. Like I don't think the Tigers have it. It's just they're too young.
You Tigers fan?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I would say a Tigers fan. Yankees are, they'll always be in it, but realistically, they struggled the last couple of years. I mean, and this year, I think they have a lot of egos that they're going to deal with. Yeah. So, like I said, I like the Padres. I like the Padres a lot, just because I think they have, they have a lot of young talent. They spend a lot of money, so I would hope if they spend a lot of money,
it pays off.
Yeah, it'd pay off. But Orioles are getting a lot better, which is kind of crazy. You'd never think that.
Do you ever go to any games?
Yeah, I go to a couple.
Right on.
It's just the one thing I can't say is that's the one thing baseball needs to figure out how to change is how to make it more affordable for people to go to the game.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I don't mind spending money, but am I getting the way I look at things? This is how I look in life. If I'm spending $150, am I getting $150 worth of entertainment? Or if I'm getting am I getting the value for it? That's why I don't golf. I could spend $40 and go do something else that I'm probably going to enjoy more than going to golf. Kind of thing.
That makes sense.
So
make the money work. Huh?
Yeah. So if I'm going to go to something spending that money, is it gonna so I will go to game one or two, here and there.
Ever pop back at BG?
A little bit. This year should be our 10 year. So I'm hoping they do something.
Yeah,
usually they do an event, but there's a coaching change. They had some issues. They almost got rid of the baseball program because the funding wise. And so they almost canceled the program, and then they had a bunch of donors. So a lot of the players, former players, donated money to keep their program running. And so they brought in a new coach, and it seems like they're doing a lot better. They're struggling a little bit this year. They did beat Louisville, which is kind of crazy.
Nice.
Number 5 in the nation, they beat them, so that was a good win.
Yeah,
but I think that was their second win of the year, and they're 15 games in or something like that. So,
right on.
But I mean, I go every once in a while. I want to try to go more just because it's I think supporting the city of Detroit and going down there means a lot. So I think going down there and watching the game is I kind of like doing it every once in a while.
Definitely. So that wraps up our show today. Pat, I appreciate you coming on. I think there was a lot of great stuff that we talked about today. Thank you for sharing your story, not just with us, but with the audience. Again, I know I know for a fact there's some baseball guys watching this, just because some of my football guys that play a spring sport, right? They're baseball guys. They tune in every week. So super important stuff I think that we covered today. Just from your process and things you should look for in recruiting to some of the deeper stuff that we tapped on. Again, I really appreciate it. So for links before we get out of here, remember you guys can find Kennedy Health and Wellness on Facebook and Instagram. Check us out. You guys can find Coach K Training. You can find me as well on Instagram or Facebook. You can find Coach Jones on Instagram. Reach out to us anytime. Pat is also on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to reach out to Pat, you can message me or, reach out to Pat. And go follow BGS Baseball, guys. And do me a favor. If you're out that way, make sure you guys stop and check out a game. I don't think tickets to college baseball games can be that crazy, right?
Bowling Green's free, so
free admission. So just your face being out there, helping a program get back off of hard times and get back up. If you have a chance, go out and catch a BGSU baseball game. Thanks, fellas. Great episode today. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you.